Welcome everyone. So today we are going to be taking a quick look at something that I am incredibly excited about. I have been watching and waiting with anticipation as Dragon's Dogma 2 starts to evolve before our very eyes. And today IGN dropped one of those IGN first things that they do, where they cover the content of a certain game release over the course of a month, by the looks of things in this case. So we're expecting to see quite a lot of footage from IGN on Dragon's Dogma 2 and how that's developing. It's releasing in March, on March the 22nd, I believe, and we will be following it along the way on this channel very closely indeed. So make sure you subscribe, check out my YouTube channel. It'll all be there for you folks. And without any further ado, let's get into it and see what is going on in the world of Dragon's Dogma.
This month's IGN First is Dragon's Dogma 2. All throughout the month of January, we've got brand new gameplay, interviews, deep dives, impressions, exciting reveals, and more. We got to play about 10 hours of the game, so we've got plenty of ground to cover. To kick things off, here's a collection of gameplay clips covering footage of the Fighter, Thief, Warrior, and Sorcerer vocations. Make sure to keep an eye on this space for more Dragon's Dogma 2 all throughout the month.
Let's just take a look. Let's just take a look. So it's very much the same as Dragon's Dogma 1 straight away. Can see the combat systems working the same. If we look down in the bottom right corner, there seems to be the same L1, R1 setup with the dash button and the jump button now looking like they're actually being integrated into the basic mechanics of the game as opposed to having to spec into them via your vocation and via your skill choices, which I think is probably a good choice. It feels like, well, if you didn't have those skills in Dragon's Dogma 1, you were at a disadvantage, and I know that Capcom have said that they are looking to simplify the game systems a little bit, and maybe that's a step in that direction. And then in the bottom left, got the map. It's very similar in terms of UI, and the map, and then the D-pad seems to have your run-of-the-mill controls to guide and get your pawns to do what you want them to do. So pretty similar, nothing different so far. Okay, so that looked like a parry. It's been a long time since I played the first one, but I'm pretty sure that was a skill that was given to the warrior or the fighter, or am I getting completely wrong? I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure that that looked like something that was just baked into the defend button. So I know that they've talked about adding inherent skills for every vocation. Maybe that's something. So ranking up the same way. The impact of the combat is absolutely awesome. You can really feel it and hear the weapons. Yeah, the doggos are getting absolutely wrecked. Wow, look at that, man.
To think I'd be caught unawares.
Okay, before we move on then. That, straight away, first impressions, absolutely fantastic. The graphics, and that's not something that I'm overly hung up about. I'll play anything as long as the gameplay is good. The graphics look absolutely unbelievable. I believe it's using the RE engine, so the engine that they used for Resident Evil 2 Remake, Resident Evil 7, the one that they developed specifically for those games is being put to use here. And when you think about the fact that they are creating fantastical creatures, and then just thinking about the way the zombies looked in the Resident Evil 2 remake and so on and so forth, and the gore that they created with that, and just that kind of gritty, atmospheric nature that they created in the police station of Resident Evil 2, the mansion in Resident Evil 7, it really makes sense that they're using this engine for this game. And I've seen some footage, which we'll hopefully get to see later on in this, of a griffin being flown or mounted, and the feathers and just the level of detail that this graphics engine brings is absolutely unparalleled, folks, as far as I'm concerned. I'm really excited to see how this turns out, because I'm all about that gritty kind of real authentic feel when you're playing a game, and that coupled with the sound design that I'm getting immersed with right now is getting me really excited. Let's keep going. Okay, what's this? A Cyclops?
Aye, a Cyclops! To think we'd encounter one here of all places.
Look at this, looks stunning, look at it. Whoa. That's amazing. Absolutely awesome.
Do not waste this chance. Let's press home our advantage. The moment of victory is ours. Let us finish this.
So this is like exactly the same as DD1, the mountain system. You climb on, you start shanking and stabbing and look at the effects as well. The loss gauge. So is that the stamina gauge again? Oh, pause. A menu system. That is something that is obviously a little bit cumbersome in DD1. I'm revisiting it at the moment, and yeah, it hasn't aged well. Let's hope, it certainly looks like it's a lot more intuitive here, but something that I think could be implemented hopefully is the use of kind of shortcuts and things like that, a la Monster Hunter, the way they do it. Not sure if that would be an issue for the game design, but I think that would be a really nice thing to implement. And then we've got the general scrags of meat that you come across. Everything's looking pretty similar. I'm glad that they haven't, by the looks of things, changed too much from the base game. It doesn't appear, so that gave them some more stamina. So it doesn't appear that they've got a hotkey system.
You'll not live to regret this. Use this fire to ignite our foes.
Nice.
Attitude, sir. Could seem I misjudged you.
So this is the thief now.
Would you mind coming over here?
So just before we watch this, I think from what I understand, they've taken the Strider class, vocation, sorry, from DD1. And if you've played that game, the Strider almost sits across two hybrid specifications, two kind of tropes that you usually play in these types of games. You can switch between using a bow and dual-wielding daggers. And from what I understand, they've tried to simplify things in the first instance by separating those things out, things that might confuse a new player. They've created the thief, and I believe the Ranger, and given them more kind of a focus around, if you're the thief, you dual wield daggers. If you're the Ranger, you use the bow to help that and alleviate that confusion. I'm personally not sure how I feel about that. The Strider's actually one of my favourite starting classes in DD1. I like having the option of being able to switch between weapons on the fly. I think it opens up interesting rotations, interesting gameplay mechanics. It lets you think more widely. I don't feel like limiting us is a good thing. However, I'm sure Capcom know exactly what they're doing. Let's keep going, folks. This is looking absolutely unreal so far.
I grant you roaring flame.
What's that?
No one can defend themselves when grappled like this.
So if any of you haven't played Dragon's Dogma before, the Monster Hunter developers were part of the team, and you can really see where that's come from. They're kind of mounting on monsters and stabbing them, bringing them down that way. The mechanic that's baked into the game and makes for some really nuanced and exciting gameplay. Straight back on it.
A moment of indecision may spell our doom.
There's no B-52 from Monster Hunter World, I'm afraid. Yet.
Climb on and I'll set you free.
You've gone back.
Look at that. It just looks and sounds and the impact of the combat just all feels amazing. I'm not even playing the game. He's on fire. His second health bar.
Let my magics grant you with elemental boon.
So you hear there one of the party, one of the pawns, granting it elemental damage. We see the daggers are now on fire.
You are in need of healing. Allow me. Wait right there.
I'm forgetting to speak because I'm completely mesmerized by what's going on here. This looks amazing. Look at that. The effects.
A flawless execution.
Once more.
Let's just go back and have a look at that. What did that say?
Once more.
Okay. So Zenobia, that I'm assuming that's the character that we're playing, and we've got quite a good look here actually at the layout of what goes on in the UI. So you level up, it actually tells you in this what you're gaining. You're gaining health, stamina, +3 strength, +2 magic, +3 defense, +3 magic defense. So these are all statistics that are in DD1, but they're not explicitly referenced when you level up. So I'm presuming this again is another way in which Capcom are trying to kind of help us make sense of the statistics, the way the systems work. They're exactly the same as far as I remember. And if we have a look, this is the Thief class now. If we have a look down at the bottom right, you've got Sheath and Draw on L2, Switch Weapons Skill on L1, and then instead of it being a different set of skills on the other one, it's a Swift Step. The previous class had Defend, so I'm thinking that actually every class now has like an innate ability on the R1 button that will differ based on the vocation that you are. True to kind of making that variety and creating that class identity, for want of a better phrase. Grab is on R2 still, so we'll still be able to pick people up and throw them off cliffs, which is great. And then we've got Twin Fangs and Carve on Triangle and Square. Presumably L1 will then switch a further 4 skills. Jump and Dash, they're new additions from what I remember. Having Dash as an innate ability on every character, I think is a great touch because that's going to encourage a faster, more fluid play style. Let's keep going, folks. What have we got now? The Warrior. So this is the two-hander. The one that we saw in the gameplay trailer, Fight the Dragon. Was that another Cyclops? Yo, did that just 2-foot dive kick? What's that? Yeah. What is it, a Yeti or something? I can't tell what it is. It looks like it would be weak to fire, though, with all that fur.
We can ill afford to rush headlong into battle. Let us watch our foe carefully to determine our best strategy here.
Ooh, look at that. She's using Stone Splitter down in the bottom right. And you just got yeeted. Just got double drop kicked whilst down. Some sort of MMA werewolf.
Time for us bad guys to save the world.
Back to it, please. So these fights are very long, much like Monster Hunter. You've got to be methodical, patient, It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Strike hard enough. We might not have to live twice.
Missed.
Moment of victory is at hand. Let us finish this.
Understood.
Who's this guy? So clearly taking more damage when they're on the floor, which makes total sense, much like the first game. The fundamental core principles of the game are what makes it so successful. Looks absolutely fantastic.
Victory is at hand. Give no quarter.
The enemy's movements have grown sluggish.
Absolutely wrecking.
They don't stand a chance against us now.
Moment of victory is at hand. Let us finish this.
Yo. What a fight. How long was that? How long was that fight? Let's just take a quick look. That was like, it was a good 5 minutes. For sure. Can't find my place now. More than that. Yeah, that was a long fight. Marathon, not a sprint in this game, folks. And there we have the stats again. And this will be the Sorcerer. So from what I understand, this is the more aggressive, offensive caster play style, if you're that way inclined, folks.
Come, lifting branching wings.
Look at the effects on the spells. They look absolutely incredible. Is he levitating?
Shall we seek out the young man from the other day?
Something else that's interesting is that mage is wearing armor. Heavy looking armor, almost like a battle mage in that sense, which is interesting. Away from that kind of stereotypical cloth wearing archetype. Devi says, fights look great. Seems like a bit slower pace compared to Monster Hunter, though. Absolutely. The fights with the big mobs are kind of those big boss fights are a bit slower and methodical, but your moment to moment throughout the world is much zippier and quicker. More like an action combat game. It has a little bit of a kind of Korean, Eastern type feel to it with the action combat. If you've ever played games like Terror, things like that, a bit quicker, which I think is a nice idea because it keeps the pace of the game moving and changing, which is something that can sometimes make a game feel monotonous, boring. So absolutely agree. It's slower paced than Monster Hunter. Don't think that's a bad thing overall. The fights, I'm guessing these ones are early game fights, looking at the area that we're in. Start of the game, level 11. If that's how long the fights take at the beginning of the game, maybe we're in for some absolute marathons.
I know the way. Follow me.
Would not be unwelcome for an ally to appear for once.
If we must, let us finish this quickly.
Very well. I must.
Quick spell on R1, follow-up attack with square, follow-up attack with triangle. Galvanize on triangle, magic bolt on square, then you dash and your jumper on circle and X again. Been rezzing his ally.
We seek out the young man together. I could guide you there if you wish.
Did he? Yeah. Did he just throw that guy? Her. Sorry. It's one way to get them out of harm's way, I guess. This isn't looking good for the party, is it?
Let us see what you're made of.
Can they clutch?
For a moment, I thought I'd met my end. Thanks to you,
Wow. Look at that. Let's watch that again. Some sort of glacial spike from one of the party members. Looked absolutely stunning.
strike hard enough that we might not have to do this twice.
I shall lead the charge.
Fear not. Well indeed.
But we ought to quit the field ere the option is taken from us. When our cumulatives run out, we're done.
Level 18, we're at there. So there we have it, folks. The 18 minutes of Fighter, Thief, Warrior, and Sorcerer gameplay from IGN first. I'm going to be doing a deep dive on each class in a little bit more detail than what I have in this initial pass through. I'm going to be looking at the skills and the way things are interacting with one another. Keep an eye out for those videos on the channel. Until next time, thank you very much for stopping by. Check me out on Twitch. I stream every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. GMT. Drop the channel a subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.